actually all your notes are the data you get from the observation. So how can you get the data from observation if you don't take notes or if you don't write anything? So of course this the data is something that you need to use for your analysis. All right, so that is what we call data from observation. All right, so you see what is going on. For example, let's say you really want to observe a teacher. You go to the class and you start to look at how does a teacher start it? How does the teacher start his class? You start to write down, okay, this teacher arrived at class at this time, and then he started, before he started his lesson, he asked student some questions or something like that, and how does it begin a new question, for example, how does it begin a new lesson or something like that. So he got some warm-up activities, and you write down everything. So what you note, okay, what you have written based on the observation are the data that you would need to use for your study.
Thank you.
Okay. Then otherwise, if you don't take note, take notes of anything, then you probably don't have the data for the analysis for the study. All right, thank you. And I could see the hand raised by Sambat. Yeah, Sambat, please go ahead with your question. A long time no see, Sambat. I think we have met each other, and I haven't met you for a long time. Okay, please go ahead, Sambat. Quiz Sambat, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Have you
Sir,
All right, please go ahead.
I want to know what we have to do to help effective in data collection.
Okay. Okay. This is very this is a simple question, but it's not that easy. In order to ensure the effective data collection, then you need to look at it from starting from your okay, you need to look at the first thing is you need to look at the tools. All right, if you really want to get the data that you really need, then you need to make sure that you design the tool in response to your research question. Make sure that you collect the data, you collect what you want. But if the tool is it's good tool, it's valid tool, okay, it's a reliable tool, then you talk about the process. What are you going to do? How are you going to collect the data effectively? Okay, now one of the example, because I think that there are a lot of things that we need to do in order to ensure the effective data collection. But let me give you one example of the data, the data collection, like okay, now if you have a good tool and you go to interview someone, all right, if you go to interview someone, but the thing is that you don't know the person well, all right, and you just go there, and you just you have a tool tools in your hand, and then you try to ask the question, okay, from A to Z, for example, from A to Z, and without any flexibility, just stick to the orders of the question that you prepare, and then you don't care much about your research participant, but you tend to follow all the questions you have. I don't think that this data collection it will be effective. Okay, because the thing is that you probably do not get much information from the interview. First thing is that you need, in order to make sure that the process is actually effective, make sure that you establish a good rapport with the person, and you have to be open to you need to be flexible in asking questions. You cannot just stick to the orders of the questions you have. For example, if you ask question number 3 and then people tend to give you a lot of answers to question number 3, and at the same time the person tend to give you more, and which is actually related to question number 10, and I would say that it's better to go to question number 10 rather than ignore that point and move to question number 4, depending on the orders of the question you prepare. So it would be a good idea just to go to the I would say that with the flow of with the flows of the interview. Okay, so this is just one. It is just one way to make sure that the to make sure that the interview, okay, the data collection process using interview goes smoothly, and um, and at the same time, during the process, we need to give them some time to think rather than just saying, okay, if the person seems to get stuck and then you don't give them the time, and you tend to you don't give them time, and then you move on to the next question with the assumption that the person cannot answer the question, and this data collection process is not really effective. It does not help you to get much information. And another thing is some interviewer, I mean the researcher themselves, some people tend to share a lot of information. All right, they seem to express a lot of ideas. Um, but I would say that you don't need to share a lot of ideas or express a lot of ideas. You need to let your research participant express their ideas, and that is what we really want. All right, rather than we are the one. So in other words, we say it is better to maximize the interviewee talking time and minimize your talking time. You will not. It is not your time to talk a lot, but ask the interviewee to talk as much as possible, because this will help you. Just imagine, sometimes you have 10 questions, right? Sometimes you have 10 questions, and you can actually finish these 10 questions within 5 minutes, right? So within 5 minutes. So the question is that, is it, you know, is it the problem of the interviewee or the problems of the researcher, of the interviewer? It could be the problems of the researcher. Mainly it is a problem of the researcher, because the researcher does not know how to ask the question properly, how to probe for further information. And this will lead to very limited data from your research participants. So in short, I would say that we need before your actual interview takes place, it is better for you to practice, or in other words, called you just rehearse it, or you can just practice interviewing some people. Okay, some people, and then see at the same time what we call piloting. You also practice interviewing, and at the same time you're also testing the tool that you're going to use with your research participant. Sometimes the tools are, sometimes the question is used tend to be overlapped, so asked differently, but with with asked differently, but the same answer. That is also possible. So please consider this. All right, so there are a lot of things in order to ensure the effective data collection. I think it would be a good idea if you try to make it specific regarding the data collection